Cut the Rope has remained one of those recognized mobile game series, an icon for a ton of reasons. Though as time has gone on, we've failed to really see how these games have followed with us. So join me as I go through it all and see where this simple game has gone to. Hi everybody, I'm here in an airplane, decided to try this out and get some excitement in my life after doing what I had to endure for this lovely discussion. The research process took a lot out of me, and while I'm waiting to drop off, I thought it'd be fun to talk about. So Cut the Rope, like a lot of mobile games from the past decades, has evolved both as a franchise and as a product. In turn though, this has made me mildly depressed. Cut the Rope most likely takes place on a modified version of Earth at first. We might have some retcons and potential outliers at the very start. We're gonna start this timeline right before the launch of the original game, so anywhere after the dinosaurs died to October 3rd, 2010. This is Nom. He's the main mascot of this story, and he's not relevant yet. Just had to remind you what the video's about. So there's this company by the name of Big Vegetable Inc., implied to be a company ran by a giant vegetable man. One of those supposed employees who may have defected is the mad scientist named Professor Vankin. Somehow in the research branch of the company in Zepto Labs, aka the developers of this game, they get access to Nom, a member of the Nommies species. I'm unsure if Nom is the only Nommie this company has possession of, because coming up there's a lot of these guys. We're just gonna get that out of the way, but just for the time being, they only have Nom. Nommies are small, leathery crustacean creatures with sturdy shells, insatiable appetites, and on occasion mutations that are akin to superpowers. I think the first full game is Cut the Rope Experiments, this being Vankin's way of studying Nom, what makes him tick, what makes this kickball creature do whatever it's supposed to do. My guess is they're gonna use him as a biological alternative to a garbage disposal or something to do with agriculture, considering the company we're dealing with. As a bonus though, Nom is able to warp himself into electronic devices. This is a skill we're gonna see throughout the time with it, though I'm not gonna think about what purpose this could serve other than maybe killing computer viruses with actual violence. And unfortunately, there's not too much that's entirely confirmed about Nom's origins. A majority of his backstory is told through the comic, and considering this is the first time anyone has mentioned this comic in any capacity, I'm sure you can guess it didn't last too long. But yeah, Vankin isn't all too happy with the direction of this hell spawn, and somehow Nom finds his way in a cardboard box on the doorstep of a local boy named Evan. And with this very specific intro, it's finally time for me to express the absolute worst part of today's discussion, for me at the very least. Nom's stories, all 27 seasons starting way back in 2011. When most people would realistically be shocked to find out that there's more of these classic shorts linked onto the app, at first I was intimidated. I was under the impression that all these 200 plus episodes were regular animated episode lengths of 11 to 22 minutes. Luckily, it is not. Most of them are animated shorts, so a single season will usually be like 35 minutes at most. In return though, this is a talkless piece of media, aka entertainment designed to appeal to any region of people that are watching, usually mostly children. I can think of like 2 or 3 that are otherwise, more often than not anyway, especially when they're like this show and free on YouTube. It's not really done as a way to make something worthwhile. They're a dime a dozen a lot of the time. I guess what I'm saying is that Nom has found himself standing side by sides with iconic characters like Booba and Bernard the Bear, that one cartoon my middle school Chinese teacher played before Christmas break one year. It's always lingered with me. The point is, I forced myself to do something I'm not proud of, and that's okay. Still not going to therapy though. You're out of your goddamn mind if you think I'm gonna pay someone to listen to me complain about my cushy internet job when the voices in the back of my head do the same thing. Plus, by sitting through all this, I got my taxes done, I made some thumbnails for my second channel. Go check that out, by the way. And the point is, I did it. So like the comic shows, Nom's dropped off to Evan's house where he's home alone. Pretty typical kid stuff with supernatural animal hijinks ensue. The fridge is raided and Nom's almost mauled to death by a couple of dogs, but after that first chaotic day, Evan starts taking better care of Nom, specifically following the rule provided on the box to feed Nom candy. And this is where the first real game takes place. Nom's sitting wherever needed. You want to cut the ropes, feed the little guy, and watch out for the unsettlingly high amount of spiders that want to prevent this really simple goal, because I guess they simply love the lovely grandma candies. Meanwhile, back at Big Vegetable Inc., they sure are trying to get Nom back. Too bad they don't. They seem to never really pursue him further, and that ends the character arc. And before the professor parts ways with Evan and Nom, a time machine shows up. Nom goes in, and not only does that start season 2 of the animations, not only is this when Cut the Rope time travel takes place, but this immediately creates a rift in our timeline. Simply because we don't know much about the Big Vegetable, we just gotta guess based on what we learn here. And there's so many routes that we can go. In every episode and world of the game, Nom spends time with one of his ancestors. This by proxy reveals that by all means, Nom as a family tree has remained remain consistent on a DNA basis and have universally been placed in positions of high power in numerous cultures and time points. We have confirmation of Omnom's family members being genius scholars, beloved royalty, vital world explorers, pharaohs, emperors, even at high-end, practically godlike statuses. It might even ring true to the modern day. Nom could find himself as prime minister or a multi-billionaire with hair plugs. Anything is possible here. So, after learning Nom is destined for greatness, not meant to rot under the imprisonment of a corporation, he takes a gap year at Evan's house, folding under the pressure of his bloodline. Taking us straight to December 19th, 2013, Season 3. Nom's minding his own business till a spider comes in and snatches his candy. This leads to him going on an unexpected adventure, as we gotta get our first proper look at some Nommies that aren't just Nom with hats. In every episode, this little fella meets a new Nommie and they gotta help him get some new candy. The same applies for the game as well. They all just have to get Nom the candy in slapsticky ways. The show also starts getting into more of a rhythm regarding the other 20-ish seasons to go. Easily digestible adventures following Nom living life and getting candy on the way. At this point, it's really aimless. He's not all too sure about his place in the world. He's more like a teenage or young adult at most, absolutely searching for what he wants to do with his life, and candy just so happens to be a way to gratify his uncertainty. So the candy is an alcohol equivalent for Nom. At the same time though, we're starting to drift away from following pets or anything. Instead, we're forced to watch as they drift to their own revolution, a planet of the Nommies, if you will. So much so that I hesitate to say that this is the same Earth we're familiar with. Maybe Nom's time travel shifted everything, so primates never evolved further than the rest of the animal kingdom, and forced everybody onto an equal playing field. Perhaps the original Evan has died as a result of Nom being silly and getting candy in the past. We may never know, we never see him again, but it's okay because I'm a YouTuber with a big number next to my name, so the bullshit I'm saying is probably right. Season 4, 2016, Magic! I'm gonna consider this the start of an arc. Despite the 27 seasons, they change up a lot after each one. The next few seasons are more dedicated to Nom discovering himself, finding purpose and meaning after his previous inciting incidents in the first 3 seasons. This is a massive cutoff we're dealing with. Number 4 is pretty important. An industrial revolution for Cut the Rope. For the next couple of seasons following his unexpected adventures, Nom started to get more comfortable seeing the rest of the world, though he still makes time for some candy antics through the magic game this season is based off of. Nom turns into a bunch of different animals, which I, for one, would probably be left in permanent disarray feeling the feelings of being a fish, but we're gonna ignore that. 2 very important cast members are introduced here, people a trillion times more important than whatever was introduced with all those previous Nommies that hardly show up from here on out. This was the developers trying to fine-tune and figure out the most profitable characters they could create. First up, Evil Spider, basically the same guy as any of those other spiders, but this one is evil. An evil little spider who found a gemstone that makes him big and lumpy. So long as he has it, he won't turn back into a regular spider. While exploring a castle, Nom stumbles upon Evil Spider. Bing bang bop, they're enemies for life, they hate each other forever, simple as that, it's on sight. Next up, this is Omnell, our Miss Pac-Man equivalent, who Nom gets a little crushy crush on. Ooh. He's growing up and I'm proud of him. Now, technically this character was introduced back in 2014, but not only do I not care, I also don't care. There's also Grandma Nom. I'm also worried what this means in the timeline. If everyone in Nom's ancestry looks the same, there's possibly a reason for this. It's just a stretch, it's just 10 seasons away. Maybe it's an asexual species, maybe they're inbred. I don't know, I don't wanna think about it. Would you be shocked either way? Season 5 has Nom go a step further and rent a microjet. His loving relationship with Evans evaporated in real time. It was never real to begin with. It's canon the boy's ginger. There's no love to be found. In order, Nom visits Brazil, Japan, France, Mexico, Italy, London, Canada, Australia, Russia, and New York City in the USA. With this knowledge, he had no real reason to visit these areas in this order. We can assume that Nom intentionally chose a route that would do more damage to the environment. The highlights of this season include a Christmas special that confirms a pretty traditional 7 out of 10 Santa without any sort of major gimmick other that he is cut. If you're on the naughty list, he climbs down the chimney and does a backbreaker on you. The New York episode is entirely dedicated to the homeless culture, which I for one think is pretty funny. The animators spent time looking into the most iconic imagery associated with each respective country, but once they got to America, they saw the pigeon lady from Home Alone 2, called it a day. In Russia, we see that Nom has managed to go a step further, going on a proper date with Nell. It goes so well that seasons 6 and 7 follow the duo living together and making true strides in their lives. They find a nice small city where mostly animals roam, and they'll be accepted for who they are and what what they do. Now, to make up for it, they just have to adjust, meaning that there's some new characters that enter Nom and Nell's lives. The most prominent ones here that I won't mention beyond this point include their rotten neighbor, Bull, Mr. Boar and Miss Sheep, who end up married partway through the seasons with their own kids, the mole guy, who they're like a little mole friend. I don't really remember what this one does. We got an old dog, Miss Doggins. She's very nice. The last stop is Professor Cheddar, who's only here to provide little inventions and gadgets whenever we need a conflict to start an episode. They really come into play later on, but for now we gotta deal with them being like the side pieces that, just like all other things, are here mostly for the purposes of goofball setups. Season 7 sees Nom doing the most important thing and trying to figure out what he wants to do as a career. So each episode is dedicated to him trying and failing a different occupation. He somehow has all the licensing and preparation to be an astronaut, a magician, an actor, a farmer, a mailman. Weirdly enough, being a bartender is the one that's gonna stick with him. And he would accidentally find the perfect job starting small companies with Nell. And character-wise, I would say Nell is just fine, nothing to write home about. A pretty positive figure for Nom to be around. It's always funny seeing identical characters in a relationship. Like, they both enjoy cooking, crafting, they're extroverts. I'm jealous of a mobile game mascot. I'm afraid of dying alone. Someday I hope I can come home to a Choopo with eyelashes, but you know, we'll get there when we get there. So the final episode sees them building a new house together, a nice humble place to reside in for the foreseeable future and perfect for the next arc with seasons 8 through 14. The Super Noms. We have officially left any sort of initial connections to the original game. It's like Angry Birds, where so few fragments of the original thing exist, and all we're left with is Nom and his candy, but nonetheless, this is the start of something incredibly important. At the start of 2018, there's this superhero. They have no name. We're just gonna call him Mr. Superhero, since it goes along with all the stupid naming conventions of the other characters. His powers come from his magic clothing. Every piece of his suit has a different ability. In specific, his left glove gives him telekinesis, his belt ice powers, and while evading some asteroids in his spaceship, Mr. Superhero's washing machine spills out and crash lands on Earth directly in front of Nom's house. The green guys open it up and each take an item, deciding to dedicate their lives to nothing else but fighting whatever crime shows up. One problem though, there's no crime. Like this entire planet has virtually nothing but kindness to everyone within it, besides that one corporation, who I'm pretty sure just want to make good vegetables more accessible to the public. I don't know if that's really a bad thing. Nom literally spends an episode with his wallet and phone up in the air, walking down dark alleyways in New York City at nighttime. Still nothing. So this is where Evil Spider comes into play, right as Nom realizes how marketable he is and realizing he has more games that can release involving his likeness, like Nom Run, Candy Flick, My Nom. The only one that really involves his entire species is Nom Merge, by the way, seeing a whole bunch of Nommies being used and encouraged to fight. I'm curious what levels of atrocities the Nommies are capable of. But no, Evil Spider's back. He's gonna be the main source and instigator of conflict for the heroes to fight against. In Season 8, he doesn't do all too much. Most of this season follows one-off villains or misunderstood characters confronting the super duo and then either being redeemed or sent to a federal prison. But at the start of 9, that all basically goes to waste, with Spider freeing everybody out of their cells and resetting the progress. And here's where another major issue of these animations come up. The way some of these characters are just like never there and then return after like half a dozen seasons. It will continue to be a relevant problem here, just like it has been. For example, some classic Nommies come to help. That's about it. But don't worry, friends. It'll get worse. Spider's new plan is to simply grab the old enemies, give them new powers, and hope that's enough. But it never is, it always fails. Each and every single time a conflict shows up, it's defeated by some arbitrary thing that goes nowhere. And it lasts all the way to the end of Season 11. No side characters or anything can make a difference. At the finale, Nom's captured, possibly tortured for information, then he leaves. That's all. That's the whole thing. Here's where my remaining interest of the baby show started drifting away. You'd think after getting punched in the face 100 times, you'd move out of the way, but no. I kept standing there waiting for when I would get kicked in the ribs. Seasons 11 and 13 continue to be perfect for the iPad children of the globe. We witness every feasible order of events and outcomes of characters being evil and needing help. These aren't even really characters, their names are Mr. Boar and Miss Doggins. I don't think we're waiting for a Shakespearean level tragedy now, are we? Number 14 actually does stuff to advance away from any sort of lowly fighting. We've watched for 5 micro seasons of Spider failing, enemies being put to justice, a prehistoric episode that shows up for some reason. Why is this here? Mr. Superhero is back. He wants his old gear back. He takes it, Nom and Nell gotta infiltrate while he's showering as a last hope. Thankfully, by evading a black hole, Mr. Superhero recognizes that they are worth keeping their powers, and he gives the gear for them to forever keep, even though, friendly reminder, they're in contact with Professor Cheddar, whose whole gimmick is making gadgets exactly like these ones. Why doesn't he just reverse engineer them and make copies so everyone's... This has cut the rope. I don't know what I was expecting. I knew what I was getting coming into it. Here's another shock, actual voice acting. There's a magical microphone that acts as a translation device, so essentially this confirms that all the characters post season 1 haven't been speaking a language we can recognize. With the exception of Evan and the other characters shown in the comic, everyone communicates in grunts and expressions, including the humans. It isn't necessarily a bad thing, but to an extent the knowledge that Nom is intelligent enough to communicate in any sort of verbal language or manner rubs me in the wrong way. But goodbye, Mr. Superhero. This is the last we see of this oddly really important character to the entire franchise. Tragically, there isn't much development of the main cast compared to those initial seasons. Nom's starting to stagnate, with being a super fella taking up so much of his time. But don't worry! It gets worse. Season 15, The Dark Ages. Right as Nom and Nell are about to get ready for their awesome intro, totally fit for a character that looks like this. Here's some of the official lyrics, by the way. I don't know what anyone was expecting. Suddenly, a stork. It flies on down, out comes Nibble Nom, instantly making its newfound parents immediately retire from superhero work upon realizing it may be too dangerous now that there's a child at stake, and the only known living relative to either of these two is Grandma Nom. And I don't have any problem with Grandma Nom. She's really nice. She's great. She's wonderful. My problem comes with Nibble Nom. I wouldn't wish this burden of an orb onto any parent. First off, what do you need those big eyes for? It's nauseating. I want to punt baby Nom and watch it rocket into the distance. It also permanently remains a problem. Becoming so much of a main character, it shows up more often than Nell. Oh man, cut the rope. Nom Stories, the animated series. You really messed up this time. You can also take this as the implication that Nom was a baby when delivered, especially considering that early on he was more of an infant type, a less intelligent individual, so it checks out. Which also means that Evan was a lackluster guardian. Are you shocked? Again, look at him. From this point on, the parents have officially dedicated themselves to raising Nibble Nom, even though it belongs in a blender. The seasons change a lot here. Now they're really squeezing out these funny, silly haha faces in order to get that meme ability. I guess they're trying to be like a new SpongeBob with meme faces or whatever. So someday they can nostalgia bait and get like a U2 set. Average episodes not only aren't making new games to correlate with them, but follow Nibble Nom's imagination controlling the environment surrounding them. It's cute, I guess. But when I decided to analyze the life of this, I kind of expected a proper narrative with elegantly written characters with challenges and complexity. From seasons 15 to 17, I felt myself numbing, this being the worst kind of film or TV to consume. Lukewarm and predictable enough to where I felt like I was forcing myself to deliberately find my least favorite type of thing I could watch for 11 hours straight. That's not a good day. That was not a good day. They start to not even eat candy, which I guess there's an effort to convey a more healthy lifestyle to Nibble Nom, but that's like Angry Birds without a slingshot, which they did, or Subway Surfers without the subway surfing, which they did. The Dark Ages end in seasons 18 and 19. We got mini arc of Nom Cafe, with the remaining royalties on Super Noms and merch and games. Nom rebuilds their home to have the family business branch onto it, while also dealing with the financial liability of Nibble Nom. This makes sense though. Nom's life and relationships have been established to have the culinary arts be a big part of them. We know the gang enjoys baking and cooking. It's completely logical. A good chunk of these episodes involve them needing to gather ingredients for a specific dish or simple business operations. And after taking a small break from the past seasons, all the random side characters along with Evil Spider make a return, also implying that some time has passed, mainly assumed by the fact that there were baby characters in the Super Nom arc that aren't babies anymore. It's cute, it's a good addition, I think it was fine, but that's all there is. Next up, big arc and change up seasons 20 through 26, the Nommieberhood arc. Basically, the gang moves into a small town where all side characters are also Nommies. We have exciting new character types like the old one, the rival one, the scientist one, and the rest of them. The mountain one is my favorite. Oh, Choopo, why aren't you caught up on One Piece? Have you finished Elden Ring yet? Why did you skip your cousin's wedding? Sorry guys, I was too busy watching Nom Stories. Nah, just kidding. Every YouTuber who does this type of stuff just reads off Wikipedia articles for their scripts. I wonder what even happened to the Nommies, specifically the ones in Merge in the earlier seasons. But you know what? This is really them having a larger cast to interact with. Episodes are usually dedicated to Nom providing a prompt and then seeing how other basic personalities will respond. If Nom wants to play video games all day, he'll play a competitive game with the twin ones, then he'll have a dance battle with the rival one, then he'll go in the game because of the smart one and his previously mentioned iPad teleport powers from 15 minutes ago. You get the idea. That's it. That's virtually everything here. Like, yeah, you got an episode in 21 where they go to classic Cut the Rope and further cement how this child has permanently altered Nom's way of life. The candy is gone. There are apples now. I'm gonna be sick. Let's see. Besides apples instead of candies, they suck at Dance Dance Revolution. The planets of the solar system are alive. The general movements of characters and animations have drastically sped up. Like, everything is around 30% faster. You can tell there's retention spans being shriveled up throughout this. The daycares are rioting as we speak. I miss the superheroes. The days of old. Stockholm has grasped me for the worst, and I promise you that I am the oldest person watching these goddamn videos. 210 likes out of 120k views? 0.00175% of all these viewers are liking these videos. I assure you most of those likes are on accident. Lastly, for now, season 27. I don't know what's next, but it worries me. Evil Spider once again makes a return, his last appearance being in season 19 and season 28 releasing in April 2025, so it's not out yet. Spider has set aside his differences with Nom and basically become an uncle to the little bastard child that's gonna pop like a water balloon. It's game night. The trio plays silly games. It's mostly an extension of those Nibble Nom Imagination seasons, but Omnell's mostly gone, Spider's in, and hey, at least there's a Super Noms themed episode. That's cute. And with that being said, that is the show. This is the legacy, and you know what? It's fine. Not really all that fun or shiny compared to the other franchises alongside it, but hey, it was still a fun time. But here we are, currently at the most recent point in Nom's life. He's gone a long way from a house pet getting candy. He's learned and appreciated his past. He's found the love of his life, started a family, building these forever relationships, ending previous turmoils with enemies of the past. In his own ways, he's very much achieved the impossible standards created by his bloodline. Nom has moved on and improved himself for the better. He knows it, and he's proud of it, and that can best be illustrated in Cut the Rope 3. Nibble Nom sees that they have a relative that was an adventurer. They want to go out on an adventure, so without Omnell's permission, they go and see the world in a hot air balloon, where instead of cutting the ropes to get Nom to his beloved candies, it's instead all to get the relieving and warm sense of feeling in love by hugging his child, the new candy of his life. It's kind of a beautiful moment, regardless of how I feel about Nibble Nom. Just by technicality, growing up alongside this weird green mascot blob thing, I was finally kicked in the ribs. Good job, Nom. I'm glad it was you. Oh, by the way, there's Cut the Rope Remastered. It adds the family to the game. I'm gonna say it's just them redoing all the puzzles to entertain Nibble Nom, so it's nothing retconned. I know it's a remaster, but it doesn't matter. It's like the movie that got canned. I'm gonna cover my ears and pretend it doesn't exist. Also, thanks for giving me Cut the Rope on Steam. This was a weird bragging right. I wanted to show my superiority as a true Cut the Rope star. It's exclusive to me. You can't have this game, it's mine. That's actually true, you cannot get it on Steam anymore. Well, that's all, fellas. I hope you subscribe. Check out my other videos or channel if you'd like. Here's my gamer subs code. Please, guys. Please, just any of this. My college tuition is so expensive. All right, guys, I got my gear on. Probably gonna aim for my house so I don't have to walk back.